Physics Chapter 4 Mass, Weight, Inertia and Density. Lesson 4 Inertia. Now in this video, I will try to help you understand this very interesting property of object with mass called inertia. Now all objects that has mass will have this special property known as inertia. Inertia is basically understood as the reluctance of an object to change either its state of rest or, if it is moving, its motion in a straight line. Well, how do we really understand this statement? Okay, so let's have a look at these two diagrams. Okay, now let's have a look at this setup. I'm sure some of you might have probably seen this. If you place a coin on a piece of cardboard and the cardboard is placed on top of a glass, okay, if you were to flick with our fingers and to move or to push the cardboard away very quickly, what do you think will happen to the coin? Well, in this sense, the coin itself initially is at rest, okay, in a state of rest. So if you were to flick the cardboard away, it has no effect on the coin, and as a result, the coin will want to remain in its original state of motion, which is at rest. As a result, what happens is that the coin will actually drop into the glass because there's no longer any cardboard to support its weight. Okay. Now let's look at the diagram on the right hand side. We have two buckets, one which is empty and the other one that is filled with sand. So which one is more difficult to be moved? Okay, if they are both stationary at the beginning, I'm sure you realize that we have to use more force to actually push and move the bucket that is full of sand. Okay, and once they have started moving, both of them, which do you think will be more difficult to stop? Well, as long as they are already moving, I'm sure you realize that the one with the sand in it will be more difficult to stop. So this property of objects to be reluctant, to not want to start moving, or once they have started moving to want to stop, this property is known as inertia. Well, all objects with mass possess inertia. That's what we have understood. Okay, and to overcome inertia, we need a force, which is either a pull or a push. And what is interesting is that you should have realized that by now, inertia depends on the mass of the object itself. The greater the mass, the greater the force that is needed to overcome its inertia. Now, inertia, this particular property is present in our everyday lives. Now, MRT, for instance, okay, you're on an MRT that is stationary. Everybody has just entered and grabbed hold of the handbar, for example. And now the MRT starts to move very quickly to the right hand side. How do you think these passengers will react? Okay, in which direction will these passengers move when the train suddenly moves to the right? You have guessed it. You will actually move to the left. Okay, the reason for this is simply because of inertia. You are originally at rest, okay, and you are very reluctant to start moving. So when the MRT compartment or the carriage itself starts to move to the right very quickly, you find yourself leaning or moving towards the left. That is because your whole body will try to remain at its original state of motion, which is at rest. Now let's have a look at another scenario. Let's imagine everybody in this train, including the train itself, you are already moving towards the right side. Okay, you're moving happily along and suddenly the train stops. Well, in which direction do you think the passengers will move? Well, we have got that right. Okay, if the train comes to a sudden stop, well, all these passengers will actually be moved to the right hand side. Okay, so that is because again of inertia. Due to their original state of motion, which is moving towards the right, when the train stops suddenly, these passengers will still want to move to the right. As a result, you find that they will continue moving to the right. And this is not exactly a good thing, isn't it? Well, if you are moving to the right, when the train stops suddenly, you actually fall. And, well, we can actually hurt ourselves in this process. Other real-life application of inertia is this. In a car, it's always good to belt up, okay? This is for our safety because when the vehicle stops abruptly, well, the passenger can continue to move forward due to inertia. So the seatbelt actually restrains the passenger from moving forward and hitting the steering wheel or the windscreen. another example is the head restraint as well. If you look at the driver or other passengers, there's usually this part of the seat which is known as the head restraint. This is to prevent the driver's head from moving backwards or forward suddenly due to some impact. Okay. So, in summary, inertia is actually the reluctance of an object to change either its state of rest or, if it is moving, its motion in a straight line. It depends very much on mass, and the more mass an object has, the more inertia it has. And if there's less mass, of course, the inertia will be a lot less. Well, thank you.